trying to get that 128 gigabyte RAM though, for real, for real.
What are you doing? Well, that's my question. Like, I need to know what you're doing.
Comcast service. That's what it is. He's running Xfinity. That's what he's doing.
Like, my God, man.
Yeah, he's the network. All right.
He might be for real if he has that. Like.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? You're checking it out. It's Spence from the Holiday Vibes Podcast. This is episode 51. I'm here with a couple of my brothers, a few good friends. Fellas, introduce yourselves. I'm not even gonna say their names. I'm gonna let y'all just go right in. Go ahead, say it, fellas.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Cozy, Too Cozy, aka Loud Shay. It's gonna be a new age for episode 51. And yes, I did rhyme. Shouts out to Nigel, shouts out to Spence, shouts out to all the motherfucking jabronis, aka the listeners. Let's go.
What's going on, you guys? This is Relaxing Noji_Jackson. I am back with my amigos, my compadres. How you guys doing this week? How are you guys feeling? Let's give an update for the listeners so they can, hear what's going on.
Man, I can't call it, man. Life's good. The weather's straight. So I'm blessed. So I can't really trip, man. Everything is good. How about yourselves, man? How about you, Lau?
Man,
what's going on since last week?
Man, last week was it was a solid week. It wasn't as popping as Easter Sunday, but it was pretty cool, kind of mellowed out a little bit. I got nothing crazy going on. It's a good week, I'm still getting money like OJ Juiceman. I'm getting money. Shouts out to OJ. Yes. But it was solid week. Nothing crazy, nothing bad. So nothing to complain about.
The fact that you said, because you're saying OJ the Juiceman, did you see about OJ the Juiceman and Wacka Flocka getting into it?
Yeah, I saw that.
What happened? No, I did see it. What was that about?
It was like, I think from my understanding, it was like OJ the Juiceman was like, yeah, Wacka Flocka's mom, who was like Gucci's manager, did bad paperwork. So next thing you know, Wacka Flocka and OJ the Juiceman going back and forth on like social media. It was really, really weird, man.
It's just kind of weird to see because I remember like at one point in time they were just like, they all seem to, at least coexist on this label. So it's just weird to see them kind of going at it right now. I mean, I didn't think they would be the best of friends, but it just seems odd. You know what I mean?
That's Wacka's mom, so I get it. Like from that standpoint, I get it. Like at the end of the day, you're not gonna have someone publicly say something bad about your mother, no matter right or wrong or indifferent. But even then, it's like, it's from a business standpoint, I get it. It's like you would never think they would get to this point. But hey, half them people don't even fool with Gucci no more.
So. Yeah, that's true. That the original Brick Squad or So I See Entertainment, yeah, man. Besides like OJ the Juice Man, none of them really rock with Gucci. It's like Gucci moved on to other things and they're doing their own thing. So, but it was crazy because that in the early 2010s, late 2000s, So I See Entertainment was the wave, man.
I'm not even gonna hold you. I think when Gucci went to jail in like 09, 2010, when Gucci went to jail, that's when like things took off even more for them because at that point, that's when you had Wacka Flocka. Wacka Flocka was like, all right, Gucci went to jail. Now it's time for me to step up, lock my CEO up. Like,
yeah.
So like
that was a classic moment in time too, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wacka Flocka, he became like the face of Brick Squad, and it was crazy, man. That era was crazy. Of course, you had Gucci, Flocka, OJ, Woo the Kid, Frenchie. You know what I mean? They even had other lesser known people that were starting to get buzz, like Cartel. Yeah. Remember him, Nigel? Yeah. So
Slim Duncan,
RP, yeah, for sure. So like that era was crazy, man. Of course, every good thing must come to an end, but that was a little error. They had Atlanta on their backs in that time.
Oh yeah. It's crazy because at first I didn't really like appreciate it, and then like I started hanging out with Lyle at the time, and then he was like preaching Gucci, and I eventually listened to enough Gucci to where when I got the jewelry selection, I was like, okay, like this is like, I can understand why he likes this. You know what I mean? Jewelry collection, actually.
His style was a very rare style at the time, definitely for music, definitely from being up north. So it was one of those things where it's like, you borderline, you're straddling the fence with it. But then I think it was the movie where he did the mixtape with DJ Drama.
Yeah.
That one,
that was hard.
Yes, bachelor pad.
Yeah.
Like Tommy Lee and Pamela getting on the camera. Got two girls on the bike, one on the back, one on the handlebars for REF on 50. I call that bitch Tarantula. But I ain't gotta go no more. But you get the gist of it. Like that was
Man.
classic time, man.
Yo, man, he put out a string of strong mixtapes. It was crazy because it was like the music that he was putting out in his mixtapes crapped all over his albums. Like it was crazy. Like people were looking forward to Gucci mixtapes, and that whole mixtape Photoshop era. It was a fantastic time.
Yeah. Oh man, the mixtape covers were fucking amazing.
Flocka, Wacka, James, Flocka Durant,
yeah,
DJ Whiteout series, all of them. The whole mixtape circuit at that time was crazy. Like
it was crazy, man.
I feel like that was like the peak of probably the best underground time. I would say that was probably like the peak because now everything is like, if you can't put it on streaming platforms, more than likely nobody's listening to it.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, 100%. I agree right there. Yeah, it's like,
which is unfortunate too, though, because there's some good music coming out that's not on like streaming platforms.
But
like really good music.
No, and yeah, I just think that it's what the time, like that's what the times dictate right now. You know, to have a streaming platform service on your phone or wherever you go to listen to music, they're so cheap. Where it's like, why don't you have it? You know what I mean? I have a studio account through Apple Music. So I'm only paying $5 a month for Apple Music. And imagine all the other people doing the same for Spotify and whatever they go listen to for their music. So it's not like, hey, you're paying a $30 a month subscription. No, you're only paying $5 or $10. And I understand why it's like, hey, if it's not a streaming platform, we're not fucking with it. You know, maybe you might go to YouTube because YouTube is still obviously immensely popular. Outside of that, if you can't find it on either or, it's like, well, I'm not really going to waste my time to check it out, unfortunately.
The closest thing I think you have now, because like you're saying, either it's Apple Music or one of the other streaming platforms, Spotify, Pandora, whatever, or even Tidal, or you're going on YouTube. But some of those old mixtape websites, that Piff, Live Mixtapes. One thing I noticed is that they'll put like a whole album on their streaming platforms, and it's like free, but it's just not the same. It's not the same, and it's not the same anymore because I think every underground artist now is like, yo, I need to put out more music on these streaming platforms to get my buzz up so I can make money off of it. Now that's how it is now. Back then, like even when speaking of Wacka, like when Flocka had gotten shot like early in his career, right? I remember he had put out a song called Rumors.
Yeah.
And like I think that was like something that if it was through a streaming platform, it would have been a process. Like he had recorded the song and then I think he just threw it on YouTube or threw it on like that Piff mixtape or something like literally within like 2 days. Yeah. So like that era, you just don't get it anymore, man. And it sucks. It really sucks. That's the one part I can say that sucks about as we progress from then to now. Like music, just the accessibility to good underground music. You have SoundCloud, of course, but it's not the same, man. That was an era, man.
No, I agree with you. And that era, it was something, man. I enjoyed that era. I loved going to live mixtapes and looking for there was artists on there that I discovered just going through the library and a catalog of shit that I would have never heard of prior to that era. And it was great to me, man, because to me, I felt like you had to go to, prior to like the mixtape and internet mixtape era, you had to go, I was just seeing music from whatever BT, MTV was showing, or one of those, I don't know if you guys remember those channels that was just dedicated to rap music. They would just play rap videos all day.
Right.
Yeah, that was the only way I was just finding what music to new artists to discover and enjoy it. Then the internet mixtape era came out, and to me, it changed the whole game. And then from that, we went right into SoundCloud era. That's something too. And now we're in the DSP era, and I think I'm not mad at streaming platforms. I enjoy it, really. Yeah.
It's like a lot of things are accessible. And like, if you really want to put your music on like a platform, it's not overly hard to do if you're doing your research into it, you know?
Yep, that's true.
Yeah, that I can say is like one of the best parts about the streaming platform era, where it's though how I said before with when it comes to like accessibility, right? Compared to like the Dat Piff era and the era now that we're in. The one thing I can say about the streaming era is that you can easily put music out. The only downside is because it's streaming and it's monetary, it's like a monetary gain. It's like certain mixtapes that we all grew up loving, right? Or even like how you saw the issues that Mac Miller had to face before with I think like old professor professor something, I forget his name, but it was a producer, large professor, like where you're rapping over somebody's old beat, and like you can't put that type of stuff on there now. Like Rick Ross had like he had this mixtape called like the I think it was the Ross tapes or something like that. It was some mixtape he did where he was just rapping on he jacking for beats pretty much, and just he killed like Hello by Adele and everything, but you can't get like that type of stuff. You can't put on streaming platforms while like going through like the sample clearance and
Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
issues. Like,
Yeah.
It's a
like that's
different era. It's changed the way like even rap music's made because you don't even hear like music sampled the way it was before. Like it's the sound is just different because of that, because people try to avoid that in order to be able to not have to deal with that. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the. I actually want to chime in about the sample clearance thing, even though that is still a thing going on today, and as it should be, because if you're an artist and your shit's been sampled, you should get some type of credit, right? But you notice that there's a lot of sampled music out there today, and I don't think all of those samples are being cleared. Like for example, majority of West Side Gun's music is sampled beats. I don't think West Side is clearing all those fucking samples
no,
at all.
he is.
You think so? You think from Hitler Wears Hermes #1 all the way till this new one that's about to drop, all those samples are cleared, and he's dropping like 20 track projects.
If it's on a streaming platform, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
all his shit is on streaming platforms.
so he's probably found a way to get it cleared because now granted, you're right. He could have taken that approach, but the downside to it is like when you put anything on a streaming platform, if it's existed this long and it isn't cleared, like it's only a matter of time. You know what I'm saying? Like there, like you have like Juice World, for instance, right? Rest in peace. When he put out that one song where it was a sample by Sting,
Mm-hmm.
like he just put the music out, and then Sting was like, "Hey, I need my bread off of it," and I think that was like a reason why it wasn't on streaming platforms at first.
Mm-hmm.
Once the song had blew up, then it got on streaming platforms, but that was after the conversation with Sting. So it's like, and I think he owns like the lion's share of that whole thing. I think he told
Yeah.
Juice World, "You're putting my grandkids through college at this point." But like, I think Westside is a businessman. Like, I think if he has it on streaming platforms, he probably got it cleared out the way. Plus, on top of it, like he's probably some of his samples aren't like from like big artists, like from
Yeah, they're
back in the
not.
day.
It's like very niche type of sounding
Yeah.
shit. Like you have to like really dig to find the original cut of the song.
Right.
And some of the shit, I was like, yo, like you have to be crate digging to find this shit because there's no way you could have thought of where this song originally came from. But with that being said, it is still a sampled song.
Right. I
Yeah,
mean, but that was an issue that Action Bronson was facing at one point.
really.
Because I remember watching something with Action Bronson, and I know like anybody that's listened to his music over the years, like a lot of the songs he makes, the samples are like very rare songs that are like some small band in Turkey or some
Yeah,
small group from the 60s out of like Switzerland or something like that, or
yeah,
Nova Scotia. Like, so I know they said before, I don't know if it was Alchemist or whoever it was, but someone had came out and was saying like, yeah, he's like one of the harder acts to like really get music done with, because a lot of those songs, when it's time to do the business side of it, to get that stuff cleared, it's like it's an Easter egg hunt, like for the most part. Like you're literally having to search for like a group of five guys maybe made 6 songs back in like 1962 out of this little small town in the middle of somewhere else in the Middle East or like somewhere in one of those other countries overall. And they're like, yeah, sometimes we got to hunt down like them or their family or who owns the rights to the music. And then sometimes those artists don't even know, like the family doesn't even know who owns the right to the music that their great grandfather or their grandfather put out. So
yeah, it does
like
happen.
With that point, then, like what you're saying, if you have to go to that extent and maybe possibly not even get in touch with the original artist or whoever owns the music, that means you get a pass from clearing them, wouldn't you?
Nah, because it's not a pass from clearing because at the end of the day, somebody else owns the music, right? Just because I can't find who owns something, it'd be like me. This might not be the best example, but it'd be like if I have the keys to your car,
Mhm.
if I have the keys to your car and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna get in the car. I don't know who owns the car, and I'm driving around. It's still your car. I just like, well, it's my car because I don't know who owns the car. It's like, and that type of situation is rough. Is probably worse because when you put out music that hasn't been cleared, like Puff was known for that back in the day. He wouldn't get any music cleared, and he would just wait for them to sue him. But his thing was, we're going to put out a track. We'll put out a song that's going to be a hit, and by the time that hit is like a global hit, I made so much money. I'm paying whatever you want. I can afford to pay it at this point. But that is dangerous because of people
That
like
is
you see
dangerous.
someone like Juice World. He puts out a song, it becomes a huge sensation. Then Sting is like, "Hey, you didn't come to me about this, so I need my cut." So now when I come for my cut, Sting has more leverage because if I don't clear the sample, you can't. This huge song is no longer a song for you. It's an underground song.
Didn't
You
Yeah,
that
can't put it
Cameron
on
go
stream.
through something like that?
yeah. Cameron went something through. Was it the I get high shit?
I thought it was Oh Boy. That's what I thought
Oh
it was.
yeah,
I
that's
think
it. Oh boy, yeah. He didn't get he doesn't make any money off of that song because of that shit that he pulled.
Which is crazy, but
yeah,
I mean, like it's like it's the artist's right to do that. You know what I mean? So like, I get it. I get why it happens as much as it does.
yeah. I mean, and also in Cam's situation in that one, because I remember listening about that a while ago. Like after they did this song, he put it right out into the street. So like, because I think they were like hold off on it or whatever. Because I think Just Blaze might have did that beat, or was that Dan Grease or someone?
I can't
I,
remember.
I can't remember who produced it. Yeah,
But
Listeners, correct us.
yeah.
it
Fact
ain't
check.
even, it's not that ain't even inform us. Don't even. It's not even a fact check because none of us know. But yeah, like even in that situation, like he had to go through. He just put the music out, and then boom, you end up having that type of situation where now you don't own any part of the music because you were too like anxious to put it out. So, oh, and if you guys get a chance, you should definitely check out Cameron's interview on Drink Champs.
I
Like,
I was
started. I
just
start.
listening to that the other day. It's
Yeah,
good.
I started watching it. Yeah, on YouTube, I started watching it. So
Shouts out
hopefully,
to him.
yeah. Shouts out to him. Shouts out to Noriega. Shouts out to the co-host DJ. I can't remember his name right now, but shouts out to him
DJFN.
too. Yeah, shouts out to him too. So that's dope. The interview when I was started watching it, it was starting off dope. So can't wait to
Yeah.
finish it.
Yeah, it's definitely dope. Like it's some of the stories I've heard before. Some of them were new stories, but it's definitely something like after we all watch it, we should sit down and have like a more of a chat about it at some point. But yeah, it's definitely a cool thing to watch at night. I'll say because it's like 3.5 hours long and stuff. So
Yeah, I definitely agree to that.
like I know you're a wrestling fan and everything. Did you have a chance to watch WrestleMania last night?
Yeah, I did. Me and Nigel actually watched WrestleMania 37 night one because they're splitting it, into two nights this year. And I don't know if it was pandemic based or not, but this is the first wrestling event they've had since pandemic last year with fans, and they had over 25,000 fans in attendance. And you could
Wow.
you could hear the difference. You could hear the involvement, and you could tell that the fans were extremely happy to be there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because the event started with a weather delay for about like 40 minutes. And
What?
yeah, because it was like thunderstorming outside and shit.
Yeah.
But I guess once the weather delay was over, they started having the matches. It was raining outside, and the fans did not give a fuck. They were like, "Hey, look, I paid all this money. I've been waiting for a long time to see this event." And they stood out there in that fucking rain watching these wrestlers work. And not to tell you, man, our expectations were a little low for this event, but this event was really fun to watch from the beginning to the end.
It was fun. Definitely the fans, like I was expecting to hear them chant a little bit more. I guess like, for whatever reason we didn't hear that, but they were in the beginning with the weather delay, they had pretty much all of their wrestlers come out and, give promos to their events. They were like, all right, the next guy on the card, put him out there. All right, the next guy. All right, Seth Rollins got a match tonight. All right, we're putting him out there. Like they're just trying to stretch this period of time. So you could tell they were like kind of doing it on their feet or whatever. It was cool watching the event. Like there was actually some like enjoyable matches, you know what I mean? And the thing about wrestling is that like you, me, and Lau know that it's fake, but like these are people being athletic, telling a story in the ring. That's what they do. In that way, it's entertaining. So like when, you sit there and watch it, like it's actually pretty cool. I enjoyed it a lot actually. And Lyle was asking me before we recorded as to which match might be my favorite. And it'll probably be the first one with Bobby Lashley. Like it felt like the most fleshed out match of the night.
One thing about last night's WrestleMania, not only it was surprisingly good and from beginning to the end, it had a little bit of history in it. The main event was 2 black women for the championship.
Really?
Yeah.
It was good.
And it was really good.
Ooh,
and
man, go ahead.
It was a really good main event. And both women worked their ass off. Total good story, blah, blah, blah. Like it was a fun wrestling match to watch. And that was historic. Like 2 black women main eventing the Super Bowl of wrestling.
That's
huge.
And it was a good match, man. It was entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and then another thing that was a little historic was the Bobby Lashley match that Nigel was talking about. The WrestleMania opened up with a black champion keeping his championship. Like that
heavyweight champion.
Yeah, the almighty. But and it was a little historic and it was crazy. And another crazy moment of the night was Bad Bunny had a exciting match. It was crazy. They had him doing flips and shit.
Yeah,
like
it was entertaining, yo. He did his thing.
Yeah.
And he's not a wrestler, you know what I mean?
It was entertaining, man. My expectations was definitely was blown off, man. I was just kind of like, wow, like Vince McMahon was like, look, put everything into what you got tonight, man, because we don't know how the future is going to hold as far as if they can keep bringing fans back or not due to pandemic, but we got the fans tonight. All the time that you guys need, I'm going to give it to you, put on a show. And shouts out to all the wrestlers, man. They put on the shows, especially the females in the main event, because that's a big spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for them.
Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks was the main event.
Yes. Yep. Snoop Dogg's little cousin, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair.
Time out. Hold on. Snoop Dogg's cousin?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
what?
You didn't know that?
Oh, nah. I don't keep up with wrestling like that as much. So I didn't know Snoop Dogg had a cousin. That is crazy.
Yeah, and she's like first cousin type shit. It's not like third or fourth.
Not like one of those, my cousin, sister, brother,
aunties, roommate. Yeah, that shit.
It's like they were roommates, and then my brother married his sister's like half nephew.
Yeah,
so, we're like all related. Yeah, I get what you mean. That's crazy. That's what's up though. I'm glad they had like a great event. I know I saw Westside. He had posted some things because he's like a big wrestling fan, and I think he owns like Fourth Rope Wrestling or something like that. So I saw some of the stuff he was posting. Like there was wrestlers pulling up on him because he was like front row. So you have wrestlers pulling up on him and everything. So that's what's up though, man.
Yeah, it was a dope event. For the listeners, by the time this episode drops, night 2 would have already happened, which night 2 happens tonight. I don't plan to Go ahead. What you was gonna say?
This is a 2-night event.
Yeah.
It comes back on tonight. So they had to separate it last year because of the whole pandemic and whatnot, and now they have this format. And honestly, like it's given enough time for that main event from last night to shine, and for them to have another one with Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I like the format too because it doesn't feel as long and dull. And the only reason why it went past 11 o'clock last night because of that rain, the weather delay that they had. If it wasn't for the weather delay, the event would have been finished before 11 o'clock. So, yeah, it was a good pace of matches, man. It was really good, and everybody was doing their thing. And the main event capped off right with the two women doing their thing in there, and the crowd was really into it, and it was dope. And they kept showing Westside on the screen quite a bit throughout the night. It was crazy. I don't know if they were looking for him to cheer or do something, but they kept showing them.
Probably waiting for the sound effects or something, man.
Yeah, so it was a good night. One was good. I don't expect much for night two, but if night two is good, shouts out to the WWE for doing their thing. So that was dope.
Definitely. Yeah, like based off like how good that night was of entertainment, how do you think it compares to the Holland fight that happened in the UFC?
God.
In terms of entertainment?
Well, this is probably one of the very, very few times we would be saying this, but wrestling looked better than mixed martial arts yesterday.
Wow.
Yeah. While me and Nigel were thoroughly enjoyed with WrestleMania, with MMA though, the main event at least, we were kind of like, man.
Yeah, they definitely put on a better show in the WWE last night. That like there were a couple fights on that card that were actually kind of cool. You know, it was interesting to watch. Like Mackenzie Dern did her thing, but the main event was lackluster.
It was dreadful.
Really, I didn't have a chance to catch the main event. I watched some of like the highlights, but I know because Kevin Holland, he talks a lot. Like Holland, he talks a lot. So I'm surprised that like his performance was just wasn't that great because he still won. He came out the winner of that match, right?
No,
he lost.
He lost.
He lost. Yeah, he lost. He got.
This is what it is.
He lost all 5 rounds, and
oh wow.
It was crazy because like on every time the guys were standing up and they were trading strikes, Kevin was clearly the better fighter on the feet. He rocked them a few times. He was just much quicker and more precise with his striking. But Marvin Vettori had the grappling advantage. He had the wrestling advantage. He used his wrestling. He used a little bit of ground and pound. Ground and pound. Excuse me. Yes, his size. He did position over submission, which is a dope hearing, by the way. But meaning like, hey, he focused more on advancing positions and all that to stop the referee from standing both fighters up. Yeah. So it was good, you know. And Kevin Holland was doing his best because he kept on getting up. He threatened him with a guillotine a couple times.
Yeah.
It's just that wrestling is obvious weakness, and Marvin Vettori exposed it. So, I mean, good on Marvin Vettori doing what he needed to do for a win, but I was not impressed with the performance at all because if he fought somebody who could wrestle, he wasn't doing that to them. So the fact that he took advantage, good on him, because that's the name of the game. You have to win. But the main event, it was just not a good main event for me. And he's calling out Israel Adesanya, and people are not feeling it. They're saying, hey, you're not ready for that rematch. So.
Because in the fight, he didn't really look impressive. He did what he needed to do to win, and shouts out to him for that, you know? But, like, when he was on the feet, he was getting rocked a few times. And, like, yeah, he was kind of, like, hanging in there with him sometimes. But Kevin Holland, if he knew how to defend a takedown just a little bit more, that fight would have been... He might have finished him if they were on their feet a little longer. But he just knew how to, you know, sway away from him. Now, that kind of made the flow of the fight a little boring. Because like he essentially worked him and not really impressively at that. It wasn't like, you know, GSP domination. It was like, all right, this guy's doing enough. Even though he did have him in a few like bad positions where he like kind of stacked him up and like was beating on him a little bit, I think in the second round. But I mean, like for the most part, it was just like, hey, good for you for winning, but you need to get like one more tough one in before you step up to Izzy.
Yeah.
So you said that was a 5-round fight, correct?
Yeah, it was 5 rounds.
Because I know it wasn't for a title or anything. So, like, do you feel as though... Because I know that's, like, a new format that the UFC is trying to introduce. So, do you think with the performance like that last night, that would have been better if it would have just been a 3rd-round fight then?
I don't know, man, because like I think he still would have done the same thing because I think in the very first round he probably it looked like right away like okay, I should not be trying to trade punches with this guy because I'm I'm on the losing end of these exchanges.
Right.
And he just knew like, hey, but I could take him down, use my grappling, and I'm able to hold some positions. And that's exactly what he did. And that's what won him the fight. I don't think if it was 3 rounds or 5 rounds or 12 rounds, it would have made a difference because it was his glaring weakness. Hey, this guy can't stop takedowns. And when he does get off his back, he can't stop chain wrestling. And that's what happened.
I think that it's good to have 5-round main events because I think at the end of the day, like it just shows that, hey, these fighters are, stepping up and meeting that like main event championship level that they have. Because at the end of the day, like that's what they're all fighting towards, unless they're just trying to get, paid, then I guess that's, something different. But I mean, like, it just shows that they're capable of being the main event and, actually carrying that pace. Like, I think when they book like more, heavyweight main events, they're not looking for those fights to go all 5 rounds. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So
yeah.
but I think for the most part, they're trying to book people who are going to show up and not be like extremely tired in a 5-round fight.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be leading up to more 5-round co-main events like the Diaz Edwards thing, kind of like in boxing. Just because you're not the main event doesn't mean you can't do a 12-round fight or a 10-round fight. So I think we might start to see that more into MMA. Yeah, but I think it's pretty dope. Did you guys see Demetrius Johnson get KO'd as well? Because that was another event going on in MMA, and he fights for one championship now. For the listeners who may not know, he fights for one championship now, which is all over. They're the biggest MMA promotion in Asia, but mainly based out of China. And he was in their flyweight title fight. Flyweight for that promotion is 135 pounds, but for the rest of the world, 135 is bantamweight. And he was fighting the champ. I'm not familiar with his name. I know his last name is Moraes, but I don't know his first name. And this Moraes guy dominated DJ from the whole fight until he got DJ on the ground and smacked him with a knee and knocked him out. And DJ lost to a guy who was not known. It's interesting, but it's like a oh well moment for me. The reason why I say that, DJ, when Aljamain Sterling got cracked with a knee by Petr Yan, he was one of those people bashing Aljamain, not because of the whole fake selling thing after the knee, but he was claiming Aljamain was abusing the position of being on the ground, which led him to being kneed, which I don't think that happened at all. If you watch the fight, it doesn't look like Aljamain was staying on the ground to avoid a knee. When that happened to Demetrius Johnson, I was like, wow, look at that. You probably wish that knees were illegal at that moment, huh? Because because I guarantee you that, and Nigel probably said this before, these fighters, they're not mainly training, hey, when I get up from the ground, to block knees, because it's been widely known, I mean, outside of course this promotion in Asia, hey, knees to a grounded opponent is illegal. So when he got cracked with the knee, of course he was knocked out, but he probably woke up like shit. Like, I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, because no one expects that. Like, so
nah, especially when you've been training so long against the situation that was the opposite of that.
Exactly. Yeah. So it
at a championship level.
So shouts out to the guy that knocked him out, though, because I think this is healthy for the MMA community. Shows like, hey, there's other promotions with good fighters. Am I going to say this guy is the best flyweight in the world? No, absolutely not. But if you could beat Demetrius Johnson, you could come compete in the UFC as well. I have nothing wrong with these non-UFC fighters doing their thing. It's good overall for the whole sport.
Because I watched the fight also, so you kind of covered everything I could think of saying. But even then, like when it comes to someone losing like that, like with DJ, right, where DJ lost to someone that was in ONE FC or just not a non-UFC fighter, you realize like, hey, this was one of the things that Dana was talking about also, because I remember, I think it was earlier this week, I saw DJ talk about how it might have been an older video why he left the UFC. He was like, the reason he left the UFC was because they kept telling him, hey, we're going to probably close down this division. You're dominating guys, but we're going to close down this division. So he decided to go to ONE FC where it's more smaller. They celebrate smaller fighters more of. So I think in this case, it kind of shows you like, hey, someone that was talented and dominating in dominating in the UFC because the talent pool wasn't there. He goes to a place where the talent pool is bigger, and now you're getting more of the real competition at your weight class. Because we all understand like the UFC to some extent is like the NBA, right? It's the major league of mixed martial arts for the most part.
Correct.
And granted, you have other brands across the world, but globally, everybody knows the UFC.
Right.
Pretty much. If you're in MMA, you know the UFC. So it's harder to get into the UFC than some of these other places where, as we saw last night or the other night, there's more talent. There's more talent there. So I think this does show like, hey, there's more talent. There's more talent in these other leagues, as well as why. Even though Dana wanted to close the division out, it's like, hey, you wanted to close the division out because the talent wasn't there. But clearly you see like, oh, this guy leaves here to go somewhere else, and you see the end result. And it wasn't like it was a luck of the draw. I think something like this I think it was good for the sport, just in terms of like the talent pool. Sometimes the best is only the best based off the talent pool. But you go somewhere else where there's more talent, you're gonna have a hard time and a rough day, and it really showed in the fight with DJ. So shout outs to the guy that beat him.
Yeah, and it's just to piggyback off the point that you made about how ONE FC, they have like a richer talent as far as lighter weight fighters. I think that's great for MMA, man, because obviously the UFC, they have the faces, the popularity, and all that stuff. But for ONE FC to have a space for flyweight fighters, like, hey, these are actually much better flyweight fighters here than what the UFC offers. I think that's good. I think that's dope because at one point back in the day, Pride had the top heavyweights in the entire world. The best heavyweights fought at Pride. And that's why the UFC's heavyweight division was like really trash back in the day until they bought Pride out, of course, and all the heavyweights went over to UFC. But I think that's good for the MMA community, man. Like it exposes more talent and it helps build more promotions. Competition is good, man. Yeah. Kind of referencing back to wrestling a little bit. Remember WWF, WCW, and there were stars in both promotions. It's good, man. It's healthy because when it's just one promotion by itself, it gets stale, pale, and boring. And so competition is healthy.
Well, look at it like this. I mean, like Bare Knuckle, I think maybe a week or two ago, they said that they're giving pensions to their fighters or whatnot. And don't get me wrong, like I don't really watch a lot of their fights and whatnot, but I think that you know, I guess what would you call it? The thing that they put in place for their fighters is a good thing. You know what I mean? And hopefully it can encourage other promotions to do things that are similar for their fighters, you know?
Yeah. That. Well, my bad. Go ahead, Lau.
Real quick, I think that's great because that gives fighters hope to perform better, perform more, and it also gives more fighters eager to go to bare knuckle. I'm really not a mixed martial artist. I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. I don't know how to grapple, but I think I got some hands. I think I know how to box. Let me go over to bare knuckle and do my best effort. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Like, I feel like that will help that promotion grow. Now, it would not be looked as credible as UFC or boxing, but it's another outlet for combat sports.
Definitely so. Like, I think that's like you said, like it incentivizes more fighters to be like, hey, maybe I can't make it. Maybe I can't become the champion here, or maybe I can't get because I'm not the champion, I'm not going to get paid like that, right? So you can go to, though I think bare knuckle fighting is way more dangerous. Because if you watch the end result of a bare knuckle fight, it's way different. It's way more graphic than what you'll see with any boxing match, any UFC match on a regular basis, I'll say. But I think when you give that incentive, when you're incentivizing, hey, I'm going to give you guys a pension. So at least now these fighters know, hey, because let's be honest, a lot of times, even GSP talked about this, like, yo, if you don't become champion, you don't really make a lot of money. You don't make a lot of money, and it's not financially is you. GSP was saying to Joe Rogan over last week, it's better if you can't become the champion. It's better to go do something else with your life because of the risk and financially it's just not a smart move. So to give someone a pension, at least it says, hey, we have enough faith that if you participate in our sport for whatever the contract says, you're good to go. Like, imagine if someone like I was just thinking about this. Imagine if like Francis had lost, right? And he was like, yo, after my contract's done, I'm going to bare knuckle fighting. Like, dominant. And he would be like, yo, I'm really going to fight my heart out because I know I'm going to get a pension after this. So I'll be set. I'll get paid for the rest of my life, even once I leave the sport.
And you know they're paying Francis.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They have to.
checkbook.
They have to.
But on top of that,
Francis
though, he will bump the promotion up. People will turn into bare knuckle fighting a lot more to see what Francis is going to do.
For real, if Francis decided to go do something like that, like granted he's a champion now, but these are all hypotheticals. They would have to give him a piece of the company because he would be the Conor McGregor. He would be the Conor McGregor, the John Jones fusion of that promotion. Like that would be the scariest thing I would never want to fight because they said he was nice with fighting on the street before he got into the UFC. He was a street fighter before he got in the UFC. Like, and granted, there's so many other things with his story, but like that's not the type of guy you want to be fighting on. You don't want to be fighting someone like that who hits as hard as a Fiat going at as fast. No, a Ford Escort going at its fastest. Nah, I'm cool on that.
Hey, go for it if you want to. I'm not joining. I'm good.
Yeah, man.
Hey, it is what it is.
I'm gonna join with this 40, man.
All right,
you know, sound that one guy.
Oh man,
that's a fact. So, that's a fact.
In some other unfortunate news throughout the week, and I'm sure all the listeners know about the unfortunate passing of DMX. Earl Simmons, at the age of 50, has passed away after a battle in the hospital, and his family was surrounding him. It's a very sad time. Definitely a legend of rap. It is super unfortunate, and it's just weird. You know what I mean? Because I was just like, man, like the only two there's a few artists that are starting to pass over time, especially for me as I also get older. That I'm seeing, I'm just like, I grew up listening to these dudes, so it was just like kind of odd just to see them passing away. It's like, hey, like that just is what it is, and that's just the way life goes. But I mean, it's super unfortunate, and I definitely praise to his family.
Yeah, like it's I share that same sentiment, man, where you're seeing like these artists that you grew up with, and you're like, oh, such and such passes. From athletes to artists, like over the past couple of years, like we went from like, I know I was a fan of Nipsey beforehand, so like you have like the Nipsey Hussles, the Kobe Bryants, and now you have someone like DMX, and it's super impactful because it's like he had hits throughout our whole childhood, from elementary school to high school, essentially. So it's extremely sad. I will say this, like my prayers go out and my condolences go out to his family and friends that were close loved ones to him. But I also would say this, that I know from looking at interviews with X over the years and understanding like his backstory, I'll say this is that though it's an upsetting thing, at least he's at peace now, right? When it comes to, because of just the battles that he was facing and the things that even like he said, day in and day out, it was every day is a fight because of addiction, because of just personal life and whatever else that just hampers down on you. And I think I'm not sure if he was like that, if he had any like clinical prescriptions or anything, whether it be bipolar, depression, or something like that. But I can say at least the dog's at peace now. Speaking of streaming that we were talking about earlier, like I know his numbers I know the streaming numbers on him have to be crazy, because I was out last night and every car that drove past is either Slippin', Rough Riders Anthem, X Gon' Give It To You, like every song any song that you could think of by X, like it's it's sad. It's sad, but it's unfortunate that hip hop lost a legend such as him. And in hindsight, now you can look at it and you realize how influential he was to music when you look at music today, especially. So
And
it's
real
just
quick
sad.
before because Lau, I want you to say your piece as well, but like, it's crazy to me how like a lot of like the things that encapsulate, I guess DMX to a lot of people isn't slipping, but like the songs I know him for, like they're not, they have like more. I don't know. They're just not that song. That is a song, and I understand why people like it. It's just not the song that comes to mind when it's DMX. Like, it just kind of blows my mind that so many people did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I think. Go ahead.
no, man, I don't want. I really like what you're hearing. I mean, what you're saying. So go ahead, man. Finish up.
I get you on that. Like, I mean, I think so. I'm gonna say this right, and I think it's a generic. I think the statement is generic enough because it travels across all artists that pass. Unfortunately, when these artists pass, you have people that were like big fans that are like major fans of these artists that they're not when this artist passed, they're listening to their actual favorite music, and then you that someone to play a whole album. You know what I'm saying? While other people are like, "Oh, I remember this song, and I remember this song," and I think that's what that comes from because like I think Slippin' is like one of his big songs only because it's it's just such a the type of artist X was, and we all know that some of the type of music he was making, that was like a different type of song compared to a lot of the music that we know him for. So I think that's one of the reasons. And on top of it, when you listen to that song compared to like when you reflect on X's life as well as you reflect on that song, you see how there's so many similarities to in hindsight now. Where you're
No,
like,
I get
so
it. I
that's
get it.
my thing. But I totally understand you. I was the same way with Nipsey Hussle. When Nipsey passed, everybody blasts Victory Lap, and I'm like, if you're a real Nipsey fan, if you really liked his music, Victory Lap. I'm not saying it has to be your favorite album. It has to be your favorite album, but it doesn't have to be. But most people that I know that are real Nipsey fans, Victory Lap wasn't their favorite album. So I knew some people that are like, oh yeah, I'm blasting Victory Lap all day, blah blah blah. So I totally understand it. I definitely understand it, but it's nonetheless it's just sad that we lost someone that's like a legend. It's very weird.
Rest in peace, DMX, man. Rest in peace to the real deal life New York legend. This is a legend, a real legend in the rap game. He had hits, he had anthems, he had classics. He was a prominent figure in rap, period. He had a run, he had an era. The man was in few movies that people could talk about, you know? So shouts out to DMX. I'm glad that he got his flowers before he passed because everybody was fucking with him before he passed. Even when he was caught up and even when he was caught up in battling his addiction for the past X amount of years, people were still fucking with his music. You would see it in any form of entertainment, whether it was a sporting event, a random movie, commercial, et cetera, et cetera. People were still fucking with DMX. Nobody disliked DMX as a person, and nobody disliked his music. People were not happy with his addiction problems and all that, but that's more of a personal thing. And that was not like, oh, he's a bad guy now, we have to look at him as a bad guy, because he never was a bad guy. He was generally a good person. Especially, I think the thing that's being talked about more that wasn't talked about then is the fact that the guy always gave prayers publicly or behind the scenes. The guy, he always gave prayers, and he was a positive dude. Unfortunately, he's a perfect example of a human being. Everybody has their battles behind the scenes. Everybody has their challenges, and everybody is dealing with something that is they struggle to overcome. And unfortunately, he did lose his battle, but we shouldn't look at his life and his legacy on that moment of time, or his problems with addiction. We shouldn't look at that. We should look at the overall package. And the overall package is this guy is a rap legend. This guy was generally a good human being. This guy has inspired plenty people, not just in rap music, but beyond rap music. He was getting a lot of love, man. And that made me happy because I'm like, I'm so glad people were giving him proper love. And his music going number one in Apple Music, this and a third, to me, it was just like a celebration of the hits and the anthems that he's put out over the years. And to me, it wasn't fake love shit. It wasn't at all. To me, it was like people knew who DMX was, man. Right. Even to people who aren't rap connoisseurs like us. You mentioned DMX. Yeah, I know DMX, Party Up, or Rough Riders Anthem. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or Ain't No Sunshine. You know what I mean? So I think I'm not trying to be sad about the situation. I'm trying to be more celebrating his career.
Give him his respect.
Exactly. And RP DMX, you are by far one of the greatest rappers in the modern era. When it comes to New York rappers, you're up there. Some people might arguably put you top 5 or whatever. Shouts out to you. You are, you know, your legacy will live on through your music, and I have nothing bad to say about it, and not trying to be any negative, all positive. So RP to the man. Let his legacy continue to live on. And prayers to his family, all his close friends, and all his supporters in the rap game, even outside the rap game. You know, prayers to you guys, because I know you guys are dealing with it a lot more than what the fans are. So
yeah. No, that's a fact. Like he was the only rapper to ever do 5 #1 albums, right? To have 5 #1 albums on Billboard, put out 2 albums in 1 year that both go platinum. Like
good albums.
It was It's Dark and Hell is Hot and
Flesh in My Flesh.
Flesh in My Flesh. Yeah, like, and he said he only did it because they told him they would give him $1 million if he put out a second album in the same year.
Yeah, both of those albums are really good, yo.
They're both classics.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, like, so it's like similar to what Lau was saying. Like he was similar to what both of you guys were saying, where he was able to get his flowers fine. He was able to get his flowers while he was alive, and everything, the reflections that we see of X, whether it be the DMX challenge on social media, right, where, you know, is Brenda, Felicia, Tanya, Tisha, like those, to even like we have a Christmas song for the rest of our lives with DMX. DMX will only be the Christmas song that we'll use from moving forward. That is the Christmas song from now on. So he's left an imprint in his life. I know a friend was telling me he was at a concert. He performed at a concert. Some girl in the front was crying. So afterwards, I guess he had performed, talked to her during the show, and afterwards he was like, here's my number. If you ever have a problem with whatever you're going through, you can always call me. So like, it just shows to you like how you were saying, like he was a human. He was a human. He wasn't like, oh, because I got all this money, I'm a big rap star, blah, blah, blah. Like he never got into the hype. He never got into the gimmicks of things. Like he was big on saying like, he keeps it raw and unfiltered and uncut. So like he was never one of those artists to go put on a dress to like just to get views or anything like that. So
well, before we move on, what I was gonna say is that like I think there's a lot of positive moments that DMX had. So I guess that's kind of my point that I was trying to make earlier. Like we don't have to, you know, remember him just for his struggles. Like, you know, like he did have like songs that got people like amped up. You know what I mean? Like and like actually did like, especially towards the end of his career, like it looked like things were going better. Like, so you know what I mean? Like I think we should not just remember him for his struggles, but also remember that he did some dope shit, you know?
Yeah, that's a fact. Actually, a fun fact. Nobody knows this. So I'm big into cooking. You guys know that. So I actually learned something from DMX when it came to cooking very early on, and prior to me actually cooking. Do you guys remember? I think it was on BET or MTV back in the day. They were doing like a reality show following DMX when he was on tour or something. And he was like, I had never done it up to this point, but he was making like scrambled eggs in the microwave. And it was one of these very weird instances where he was just like, oh, I think he was on tour. He was like, oh yeah, you know, we're going to eat, but I'm going to just cook everything in the microwave. It was just one of those moments where I was like, ever since then, I don't cook eggs in the microwave now. But it was one of the cooking techniques that I've adopted over the years. So just a fun fact. X will live on in all of us. I'll say that much.
Yes, sir. RP Darkman X.
Yeah. And in other news, similar to what I was saying before,
Dresses.
yeah. So I mean, granted, we've seen this over the years with rappers from Young Thug to other artists. So that I'm not going to name, but so on SNL, Kid Cudi decided to wear a dress during his performance.
Was there a reason for it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I went on the timeline. I saw this. I'm not the biggest Cudi fan. I've never been a big Kid Cudi fan since his inception into the music. So I respect what he does, but I don't know. I was wondering if you guys had an opinion on this or if you guys knew more about this.
Somebody said it might be for Kurt Cobain, right?
I don't know. I don't know the significance of it. What I will say of it is people don't fuck with that. And I'm not trying to say that this is our opinions, whether we agree or not. People don't fuck with it because it is it comes off as kind of like, okay, what is going on here? If he was that was his thing, like, he'll arrive with a dress or not, then it will kind of come up as kind of like, okay, this is just Kid Cudi doing his thing. But throughout his entire career, there was never anything hinting towards this. So for him to pop up on Saturday Night Live publicly with him with a dress on, it kind of raises the question, like, okay, why did he do this? Because people probably focus on that a lot more than the performance.
I mean, I honestly don't really care that he wore a dress. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this isn't like overly surprising to me. And according to what I saw, like, I guess the anniversary of Kurt Cobain's death was, I guess, this month, but like a few days prior to him performing. So I mean, and
This week.
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't care that he's wearing a dress. That's not overly surprising for me that he's wearing a dress. Like, Kid Cudi, he's definitely did some things that were like against the grain before. So I'm not surprised that he's doing something that's against the grain now. Me personally, I wouldn't wear a dress. I don't think I would look good in a dress. I have no interest in wearing a dress. But if he wants to wear a dress, by all means, go for it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I can give 2 fucks less.
Yeah, like I mean, I was while you were talking, I was listening, but I was reading up on something about it. So yeah, it does have something to do. It does revolve around Kurt Cobain's death because it was the anniversary was this week, and apparently, I guess Kurt Cobain used to wear like a floral dress at his gigs with Nirvana at some point during his careers. So I guess that was his tribute. That was part of his tribute because apparently he wore a green cardigan that was symbol of something that Kurt Cobain used to wear a lot also. So that's the reason for it. To me, it has nothing to do with like sexual preference because like we grew up in an era where Young Thug was one of the first rappers that we saw like that was like viciously wearing a dress all the time. Right? Like,
he wore quite a few dresses. Like,
yeah, like tutus and all of that. Like, so we've seen the evolution of that era as well. So without context around it, it seems very like I was saying last week about like the shock jock-ish, right?
Or like attention whore-ish. I guess
like clout seeking.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, like in similar fashion where like we were speaking with like Lil Nas X with like the doing things for clout, right? With no context to this, that's what it comes across as. And like I said, I'm not a big Cudi fan, never have been. But
I think that's what Lyle was trying to get across earlier too, with what he was saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, why is he just doing this?
Yeah.
Well, because I was gonna say like as someone that's not a Cudi fan, I'm not sure, but when I've listened to his music before, I've never or watched interviews with him, I've never seen him refer to Kurt Cobain before. Maybe I missed it.
No, he's definitely influenced by Kurt Cobain. Like he's that shit's it's a thing.
Okay, all right.
This makes a lot of sense. Like I understand why he did it.
I mean, when you explain it, it's like, okay, he's doing this a tribute and homage to him and all that. Then okay, I get why he decided to put a dress on Saturday Night Live. But to somebody who who may not be familiar with Kid Cudi, or they know of Kid Cudi, but they're not a fan like you are, Nigel, it does come off as like, okay, this is why does he have a dress on, right?
I understand.
So it's really it was one of those reactions, right? I don't think anybody. I mean, of course, you're gonna have people be like, "Oh, see, that's this generation. Men can't be men anymore." I get that, but I get why he did what he was doing from that explanation. Yeah. So, I mean, just think of it. Imagine if you saw Drake on stage with a tube top in a leather skirt. You're gonna be like, why is he doing this?
Yeah, it's just outside of the norm for him. It's like that's kind of odd. You know what I mean? But I mean, it makes sense. I'm a Kid Cudi fan, and like when I hear it and I'm like reflecting on everything, I'm like,
die hard Kid Cudi fan.
I like Kid Cudi, man. I'm not gonna lie about it. So it is what it is.
Tell the listeners you are a die-hard Kid Cudi fan.
I am a die-hard Kid Cudi fan. Yes,
right.
it's he's not lying, listeners.
I
listen to all his albums. I enjoy them all. Like I'm just not really trying to, now's not the time, to express my fandom for fucking Kid Cudi. You know what I mean? So
why not?
I'd just rather not.
Oh, so, I was gonna say it's not wrong.
If the listeners like Kid Cudi, chime in. We could talk about that shit all day.
There's not wrong with it, man.
Slide in his DM, man.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say like my last statement on this is just I think the only thing about this is like we were saying, like once you have context, like it makes more sense. I think the biggest thing is just that it was on essentially one of the bigger stages, which is SNL, and I think that's pretty much like where it's like, okay, we've never seen you, we've never heard about you doing this at a concert, we never heard or seen you do this at any event prior, so why, as you're going back into getting yourself, because we all know Kid Cudi, speaking of X before, like we know Kid Cudi has dealt with his own issues with addiction and things like that as well, so, and we know now he's really trying to get himself back into his music career again, so it's just like, okay, like you pick the biggest stage, and we've never seen you do this in your career, heard about you doing this in your career at least. You pick the biggest stage, one of the biggest platforms to perform your music on, and this is what you decided to do. And I mean, it went viral, but I mean, he has context behind it. So I say like this, as long as he can look himself in the mirror and he's fine with himself, there's nothing wrong with it. But
I mean, he wore a dress, to if he did it for a while, we think he did it, and he wasn't like just wearing a dress to just shock everybody, like. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it's like, oh, okay, he chose to do it like that. I wouldn't do that. But if that's what he chooses to do, then, fuck it. Why not?
You know what that reminds me of the kind of like surprise that it gave everybody? It reminded me of fucking Paul Pierce. when his ass went live on social media smoking dope with strippers in the background, and I think that caught everybody off guard so much that he lost his fucking job from ESPN, like
including Walt Disney.
Yeah. The Disney family was like, "Whoa."
Yeah, they weren't expecting that.
ESPN, you know what time? You know why we're calling you.
It looked like he was having a good time.
It looked like he was.
He was enjoying himself, man. I wasn't mad at Paul Pierce.
Nah,
I wasn't either.
Listen, only thing I'll say is this: when it came to that, like I saw some of the events over like through social media, like people were sending different things to me, or you see it on the timeline. I'll say this: stuff like that, you don't need to bring to the internet.
Exactly.
And for plenty of obvious reasons, but the outcome of this was the reason why you don't bring stuff like this to the internet. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen Paul Pierce. I'm not the biggest basketball fan today, but as a kid, I watched nothing but basketball and football. I've seen Paul Pierce throughout his whole career. When I saw these videos from his Instagram Live, I never knew Paul Pierce was like this in real life.
Well, is it surprising? Is it surprising though?
It's not surprising because he's an athlete. but I was just thrown off by who he was. Go ahead, Lau.
I'm not surprised that Paul Pierce does this in his private time because I'm pretty sure we could probably imagine 95% of the NBA players they do this shit. But I'm just surprised for being one of the NBA analysts for ESPN, the leader in sports coverage. You're publicly doing this, you know. It's not like he still plays for the Boston Celtics and he did this. You know, the Boston Celtics, they're not going to kick him off the team. They're going to be like, "Hey, Paul, just watch the Instagram lives." But when you're supposed to be a public representation for ESPN, covering sports, that it does come off as like, hey, what are you doing?
It'd be different if he was caught in the act of doing it. It's like, oh, okay, like they caught him in the middle of da 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 da.
Yeah.
But when you put it's coming from your life. It's like, hey, why did you decide to do that? You know what I mean? That's the part of your life you wanted to show us. And, hey, look, like I said, it looked like he was having fun, which he should be allowed to do, just not online. That's it.
Yeah. Not everything needs to be live.
No, that is a fact. That is an absolute fact. Like certain stuff you do, you should not put on Instagram. Certain things like that. When you have an employer, you shouldn't be putting like if he was to put stuff like that, that stuff he should have been putting in his close friends. So like LeBron, Mike Bibby, Jason Kidd can see it.
Yeah.
But you don't want like you. It's one of those things where it's like, yo, you lost your job because you lost your job on your day off for stealing boxes essentially and posting it to Instagram. It's like don't get me wrong, it is memeable content that will live forever on the internet, and it will probably make it hard. He'll find another job. He's Paul Pierce. He's a Hall of Famer in basketball.
I was just gonna say that Fox is gonna pick his ass right
Fox
up.
Fox is gonna be like, hey, let's do business. Fox is trying to build their shit. If you know,
Fox Sports, they're trying to compete. I mean, and they know like, shit, we can't afford to be picky with some of the people we're picking because they're right now, like look at Undisputed. Arguably, Undisputed might be a better sports show than First Take.
I think it is.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you have Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. Skip, who used to be on ESPN, going against Stephen A. and Max Kellerman. And it sounds like Undisputed, they're giving better takes than First Take. And
just think about my bad. Sorry, go ahead.
And I'm saying, and Fox likes that. Fox is like, you notice how when Fox lost the UFC to ESPN, Fox went ahead and picked up PBC boxing. They picked it up and they're trying to build PBC into what the UFC used to be on Fox. Now, will it ever be like that? I mean, probably not, because that's due to the corruption of boxing. But outside of that, like Fox is trying to compete. So I'm not mad at Fox Sports. They also get deals as well. They get deals with certain content on their channels. Now, if they pick up Paul Pierce, hey, welcome our new NBA star analyst, Paul Pierce.
And honestly, they kind of need that, in my opinion. Like I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who I think of on Fox that gives like that NBA thing. Like if you think about it, like Shannon Sharp has been like more memeable over time, and he's just getting more popular over time. You know what I mean? Stephen A is always going to be popular because he's Stephen A. But it's like at the end of the day, they just made a very large deal for Skip Bayless, which means that they're still doing well with Skip Bayless. And I'm sure that they wouldn't mind having somebody who was just doing fine over at ESPN over in their stable of people that they're trying to build up. So it's like, why not pick him up? It just makes sense. Plus, I'm not sure if y'all noticed, but if y'all watch, like, I think that they're trying to go in a certain direction with the type of, people they use on there. And I think Paul Pierce would fit in there well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, plus like the happy hour is going to be a good time if he's the one that's hosting it.
Yeah,
so.
man.
Paul Pierce and Shannon Sharp.
Shouts out to Paul Pierce and
Club Shay Shay going up tonight, man.
Yeah, that's a dope. Shannon Sharp been doing this thing with that podcast.
Yeah.
So, he has. So
Shouts out to him.
yeah, but I hope Fox Sports picks up Paul Pierce. I think it's a no-brainer. They're probably going to have that conversation like, hey, that live shit, you just have to cut it out. But we will give you a job, but no more Instagram lives, you know.
I wonder what he was thinking. I wonder if he just thought nobody would notice. Like what?
No, he was probably
high and drunk.
I was gonna say
he was really just enjoying himself.
Yeah, he was in the mood. He was vibing, man.
I hear you.
He was having such a good time that he said the rest of the world got to see this.
Yeah,
literally what he said. Because when you watch it, he's not smoking cigars. He's not smoking cigarettes. He's smoking blunts and backwoods the whole time, and it's just like, hold on, like, and I say this because like I know. We all know athletes are wild individuals off the court, right?
Right.
But like the way I look at Paul Pierce is not the same way I look at J.R. Smith, right? And what I saw on his live was J.R. Smith vibes. And he was just like, yo, he probably figured like, yo, I'm retired. I ain't got nothing to worry about. So I'm going to just live it up and let me show the world. And hey, man, I think it probably, like they say, when one door closes, another one opens. And more than likely, the next door that opens might have, like, they might just be like, yo, listen, just give me your phone at the door. You can come right in. You can do whatever you want. So hopefully Fox picks him up, and I can't wait to see how that. Yeah, he's going to be all right. I just can't wait to see how the next chapter of his life, how that's going to work out. So, but, I mean, I think you guys got anything else? Because I think we about it.
Nah, man. I don't got nothing else. Just shouts out to the listeners for tuning in to episode 51. Go ahead, Spence. I know you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Oh, nah. I just dawned on me. Did you guys hear that snippet with by Quavo?
Nah.
I guess
I heard about it, but
with the Bentley truck shit?
Yeah.
Well, apparently Sweetie, she just dropped a little skit on Instagram or TikTok, one of the two, where she's showing she still got the Bentley keys. So
you can have the keys. You can have duplicates to the keys, though.
I mean, that who knows what's really going on?
Yeah.
Honestly, the way that it looks like hey, they could be talking to each other on the low, probably getting back with each other sooner than later. Like, because it's just like for somebody that you want to move on to, why do you keep doing shit referencing them? And I feel like that I don't know. To me, I'm just like, I think it's a stupid ass fucking situation. Let them handle their relationship and all that. They probably still fucking love each other for all we know.
Yeah, more than likely, they was together for a while. Like, only thing I was gonna ask about it was like, because like the relationship stuff is a relationship stuff, and that's just is what it is.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys like if you had heard the snippet or anything. What were your thoughts? Like, what are your expectations for Culture 3? Definitely loud with him being an Amigo fan.
Oh yeah, wow. Go ahead, wow.
Culture 3 right now, they're only going to be competing against Drake.
Ooh.
That's it. They're only competing against Drake. Unless Benny the Butcher drops some album worthy classic this year, and I'm not saying Tana Talk 4 or whatever he decides to call it won't be, but as of right now, it's like the amount of hype that he's, far as just hype and popularity goes, they're only competing with Drake right now.
No.
What other rapper that has the people talking that they're excited to, that have high expectations for this album? What other rapper?
Okay, I'll give you that because I'm just thinking of like other artists are supposed to drop this year because I know Freddie Gibbs got another album coming out and
ESPN too.
Got an album, and Pusha T got an album coming out this year. But I mean, even then though, I thought you meant like just in terms of like the album releases. But if you're talking about anticipation, I'm with you on there. Culture 3 right now is like a highly anticipated album.
Exactly, so. That's what I'm saying. They're only Drake is the only competition for them. And I'm not even saying like they're going to supersede Drake. We all know Drake is better than Amigos, you know, but far as anticipation goes, people eager to hear the music. It's Culture 3 or Certified Lover Boy right now. So me personally, I hope it lives up to the hype because I'm like, if it it might be time. It might be time for the Migos to have that conversation to be like, "Hey, man, should we be solo artists for the rest of our careers?" Because this is it. I feel like Culture 3 is going to be their final hurrah as a trio. I mean, I'm pretty sure. Individually, they will have songs where all three of them are on it and all that. But this is like, hey, the Migos' final hurrah before their careers really like split into individual careers. Because if you think about it, in the past few years, they've been more known individually than they've been as a group in the past few years. So it's coming to that point. And shouts out to them, man, because Nigel will tell you, bro. I remember when they were coming out with Versace, Bando. Nigel's like, "Oh, they're not gonna last. I swear to God, on my mom's, bro, they're not gonna last." I kept telling Nigel, I was like, "Bro, like they're gonna be around. They're setting the wave. Everybody's rapping like them." Years, almost a decade later, look at them now. They're still legends. Popular. Yeah, they're legends of the rap game. Are they the legends? No, but they're legends of the rap game, bro. They're one of the best rap groups. They're not the best. That's still Wu-Tang Clan still holds that title, but they're one of the best rap groups in the game. They are.
You don't think it's Wu-Tang, Spence?
Well, I agree. Like I agree where it's Wu-Tang, but before he had said it, I was thinking about that, how when they, as a legendary group, at that one, there was a moment in time, people were really trying to argue, oh yeah, they're a better group than Wu-Tang because they stayed together longer. But nah.
That's not what makes it. We're going to have the conversation about who the best rap group is, because I know, Spence, you have a certain hate in your heart for one of the legendary groups, so we'll have to have a discussion.
No, let's not.
Man, I don't have hate in my heart for that. All I'm saying is
he's getting angry. Look at him.
Yeah.
No, all I'm saying is
I don't have hate in my heart.
Relax. Making his goddamn desk. Like.
If only you could see my hands right now.
Just tightly clenched, leaning
in
the palms and shit.
It's like just want to go punch the damn camera and shit. But like, nah, like I said, that's a conversation for another day. All I can say is I think some rap groups in history that are highly acclaimed, they are great groups because of the influence they had, but the music is not that. And that's all I will say until we go into that conversation on another episode. That's all I have to say. And that's all I'm speaking from. I think the tribe has spoken, and I think it's time to close the show out on that note.
Shouts out to the Migos. Shouts out to Tribe Called Quest. Shouts out to Wu-Tang Clan. All legendary rap groups. But with that being said, man. Here we go. I mean, shouts out to Tyler, the creator. I think I fucks with Tyler, but listeners, this is episode 51. It's your boy Big Cozy Too Cozy. It's your boy Saint Kitch. It's your boy Relaxin' Jackson. Nigel, please drop the locations and handles wherever people can check us out. They should be checking us out. There is no question. Come check us out.
Like a new girl in school. Come check us out, man.
All right.
Behind Staircase B.
This is Relaxin' OG_Jackson. We are the Highly Advised Podcast. You can find us at the Highly Advised Podcast on Instagram. You can find us at Advised Highly on Twitter. You can find us at the Highly Advised Podcast here on YouTube if you're watching us right now. Hope you're having a good time. Hope you're having a good day. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back. Have a good one. You have been highly advised. Oh, hold on, wait. My bad. I'm sorry. I have to give an update because I didn't give an update earlier in the show. I'm off the ankle brace. You know what I mean? I'm back on 2 feet, and things are getting back to normal.
Wow. I thought she was on house arrest for some reason, man.
Jesus, no. No. I'm
Nah,
good.
that's good. That's what's up though. I'm glad you back walking like nothing ever happened. So that's good because you had the Stipe. You after that Stipe knockout that you had, like wasn't sure how long you was gonna bounce back. So that's good to hear, man. Off the boot. Now you walking in with two shoes now.
Yeah, man, I am. I have 2 shoes on, and it's been a long time, so I'm pretty excited. For real, yeah, I couldn't wear 2 shoes, so I'm pretty excited about it. A lot of the small things are nice.
10 toes down now, man.
Yo, you're not fucking with ice no more, aren't you?
No.
Yeah,
Nah.
You would no longer choose Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat now, huh?
Nah, I'm always gonna choose Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat. That's my shit, yeah.
That means you haven't learned your lesson then.
The listeners don't know about that,
You're gonna keep slipping on the ice.
Yeah, all right.
All
right. You have been highly advised. We will see you next week. Have a good one.
Yes, RP DMX.
Yes.
Yeah. Drink your water, stay blessed, and enjoy your week listening to us. And yeah, RP DMX, man. It's sad still, but yeah.
Boom.
You've been highly advised.